the organizations that I work with that tend to be successful with their transformations are the ones that are investing in their people, right? Someone like you, this sounds very obvious, right? But I'm constantly surprised by the fact that not every organization is making those big investments in their people. I know a lot of organizations won't wish to do so, though. What's your particular approach to talent development? I think that might be helpful to kind of have some concrete kind of, rather than say invest in your people, anything more particular that you can add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot of different ideas out there about how talent develops. I think what we experience in our culture and context, but I think is broadly applicable, is the number one way to learn or to build a capability is by doing something. Doing kind of self-directed research, reading a book, watching a video, that's great. Every now and then going to a formal learning opportunity is also critically important, and I'm very proud that we as a company offer a huge array of ways for people to engage in those types of learning. But at the end of the day, we all learn best by doing something. One of the things I like to think about for our environment is how do we make it be the best place to build and the best place to learn? And accept that those two ideas are very connected together. And so what that means for us, whether it's a college student who's joining the organization relatively early in their career, or somebody maybe joining the organization late in their career, or somebody moving through the organization, is how do we get people into opportunities where they get to do something? Not because they're already fully capable of doing it, but because it's going to give them an opportunity to further enhance the capabilities that they have. So for me, by far, that is the most important thing, development by doing. And for us here, we talk about building, and it's the core activity that we all like to do. So how do we develop by having the chance to build?
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, it's how I learned, basically, everything that I know is by doing. And it really, it's one of these things where a lot of people learn things, in school, or learn things, by reading, or, various methods that are not doing, right? And then, their knowledge meets reality,
yeah.
Right? And then they have to figure out, wow, a lot of this really isn't applicable to the real world. One of the great things about learning by doing is that you kind of skip that step completely, right? It's immediately what works and what doesn't work because you're actually doing it.
That's right. And especially when that building and that doing is supported by some of the other things that that are out there. Those in the right mix at the right time really seems to be the best way.
Yeah. I've also found that having what employees are doing, or builders, as you say, what they're building is tied to some goal that's bigger than themselves. So what I'm talking about here is a sense of purpose, essentially,
yeah.
right? Yeah. How important, in your opinion, is it for builders to have that sense of purpose in order to be successful?
I think it's critical. I think, in retrospect, it's probably always been critical, but there certainly seems to be something that's really important right now to people who are engaging in work. And, maybe you could go back in time and say that the most important thing that people needed from their employer was a paycheck. And that's really important. That really matters. And I think there are many people out there where that is the most important thing. I think for some other people, they want a good paycheck, they want, good benefits and, good support structure, but they want to have to do something that they enjoy, something that is fulfilling to them in some non-monetary kind of way. Then there's people, I think, who want to be in an organization that somehow resonates with their own personal values. What do they stand for as individuals, and what do their organizations stand for, and are those things compatible, and how do those work together over time? But increasingly, and we're seeing this through a lot of the research we do about different generations of talent, the opportunity to be a part of something that's a little bit bigger than myself, and more importantly, something that I believe is doing something good in the world, that's having a positive impact in our communities and our societies in a way that I see that. If I could be a part of that, if I could connect, again, my values to that purpose and be inspired by all of those things coming together, then I'm in a place, not only do I really want to be there to get the paycheck, but I'm really going to bring my best self. I'm going to commit for a long period of time. I'm going to invest in my own development and learning so I can continue to progress and take on new opportunities. That definitely seems to be increasingly important in today's workforce.
I've definitely noticed that myself. I always I tell leaders, I say, what are your employees going to say when they get together for the holidays with their family, and their mother asks, well, what are you doing at work, right? If their answer is, well, I rack and stack servers in a data center, or even if it's I build things in the cloud, that's not, it's, the pride isn't so much there. If your employees really understand what your business is doing for their customers, then you could say, well, we're making the retail experience easier for customers worldwide, or we're making it safer for cars on the road, or whatever that bigger mission is. I find if you can get employees to kind of think that way, then it's been my experience that they'll go the extra mile without you even having asked them.
I think that's 100% right. And I think many people have seen this externally. If people have seen the AWS is how, commercials that we had for a few years, it's actually very interesting. When you watch those commercials, you actually get no description of what AWS is or the cloud or anything like that. But you see what customers are doing, with technology and connecting to that purpose and what we're able to do for our customers and billions of end users of all of our respective customers. To the degree that we all get connected to that, it can be very powerful. To your point, certainly when I describe to my friends and family what I do, I'm not necessarily always talking about the AWS services that we have, but I'm talking about what they experience in their daily life that is connected to what AWS is doing in ways that they may not know. And even internally in something that we invest in. Even during the pandemic, we did a lot to make sure that we were connecting with our customers virtually, asking our customers, which they did generously, to share vignettes about how they're using AWS during the pandemic. And we took those vignettes and we played them for our employees in our data centers and other parts of our organizations to make sure that they understood in a very difficult time in our society that what each and every one of them were doing was incredibly important to a lot of people that they just wouldn't have the chance to interact with. Very important.
Yeah, it's interesting. It reminds me of something you said before when we talked previously, and it was, that customer obsession and investing in employees is really kind of one thing, right? And what you're describing is kind of a customer obsession to motivate employees, right? They understand how customers are benefiting. They tend to work harder and be more productive and be happier.
Absolutely right, and especially in a business like cloud. But I think this is also broadly applicable to many organizations. The boundary between your organization and the market or your customers' organizations doesn't need to be a boundary. It needs to be a semi-permeable space that ideas and information and connection can flow. One of the things that I just love hearing about are ways that our employees connect with customers in a very close and connected way. Some people even just use the word intimate, to describe some of the relationships that we have. But for us, that's absolutely a critical component of our builder experience. And I suspect that's true for a lot of other organizations as well. To the degree that their employees are able to connect with their real end customers and understand how whatever they're doing is being applied and valued in the world, I think would bring meaning to a lot of people.